I could never be a zombie because my eyes burn too much holding my eyes open. And welcome to the best thing you watch this week, or we watch this week. We are continuing our Halloween theme this week. It is our top 5 comedy horrors, which I'm very excited to talk about, especially to see what Chris comes up with. I think it might have some overlapping, but we never know because we don't tell each other what our lists are, which is always fun, I think, because if we get the same ones and where they are in our list, I think that's really... I think that's a more of an eye-opener. We get to go into the inner workings of Chris's psyche. What's actually going on in there? Something
scary.
Dark and scary. But these lists were hard for me, especially this week, because there were so many I'd forgotten about. Once you start adding those in there, you were like, which one is better than this? Can I kick this one out? And then perhaps you might have watched a new one this week and you're like, I really like this. How long do I have to wait until I can put it in my list? Or we might have spoken about it again in recently, those past few weeks. So it was interesting. But how did you find this?
I agree. It was hard for me as well. This one was very difficult because there were so many that just kept popping up. And I'm like, oh, this is a great one too. And this is a good one. And oh, wow, what about this? I mean, even as early as this, it'd be right before we began recording, I was tweaking my list because I'm like, oh, maybe I should put this. And I thought, no, just going to keep it. I'm going to stay confident in what I put as my list and let it go. And then we'll just see how that works from there. But yeah, it was, there's a lot of them that fit. And really, I think a lot of them that are good too. Some of the ones that we've had in the past, we've had a lot of them, but they've all been trash.
It's quite easy to find bad versions like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And so, I mean, because really we're combining two genres here. It was tough, but I think I'm confident in my list. I'm definitely confident in my top 3.
Okay.
And maybe even my top 4. It's this first one that's kind of that's the one that I started to take off, and then I decided to keep, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go with it. So.
Well, before we get into that, I haven't done a very good job at introducing us. This is Chris from Movies and Munchies. I'm Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. Welcome. If this is your first time, you are very much welcome. Let us know your top 5 comedy horrors down below. If you're returning, you are also most welcome. Thanks for joining us and listening to us. Don't forget, we do our special podcast section at the end with the best thing we watch. We swapped it around for this week of the month of Halloween. We will go back to the normal segments, I presume, at the end of the Halloween segments. And we do have some special ones coming up. I guess we can tease the November one. We've got a guest. His name is John Brown. He's a radio presenter, and he also does a very special music series. It's the Score music series that he gets to speak to kind of some of the best in the world. And so we're going to pick his brain about music scores. That's coming in November. But for now, should we jump into it, Chris?
I think we should. Yes. Let's go. All right. So my number 5, 1985. It has a very, very, very low score on Rotten Tomatoes from critics.
Okay.
It also has a low score from audiences as well.
And this is on your top 5?
Yeah, this is on my top 5. It is. Some of it is nostalgia. I saw it in the theater as a kid. But 1985's Transylvania 5000. Now, have you seen this one before?
I don't think I've even heard of it.
Okay. Well, it is. It stars Jeff Goldblum, Ed Begley Jr. right off the bat. I mean, so that just, a good cast.
Jeff Goldblum's chest is worth anything. I don't know if you've seen his magical hairy chest.
Yes. I think we see that a little bit in here. But there's also Gina Davis in this as well. But, yeah, the two, as I hit my microphone, the two, Ed Begley Jr. and Jeff Goldblum, are tabloid reporters. And they pretty much suck at their job, even for a tabloid. And there have been reports coming out of Transylvania of monsters. And this being a tabloid, hey, why not? This is our bread and butter. So they're sent over there kind of as a punishment, but also as a last-ditch effort. You don't bring me back the story, you're fired. Okay. So they go over. Now, those two are like an odd couple because Jeff Goldblum is very laid back, just, whatever, stuff will come, chill out. And Ed Begley Jr. is very just buttoned down, stress-induced. I mean, he's very nervous. He's trying to, we've got to get this. We've got to find the story, very job-oriented. They stay at this castle that is run by a doctor who is kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing, which is outstanding. You have a very young Michael Richards, who was Kramer on Seinfeld. And the cast comes together in a ridiculous way. There's also Jeffrey, what's his name? He has red hair. He's the principal in Ferris Bueller.
Rush?
No. He's different. Anyway, he is there also. I think he's the mayor of the town. I mean, you've got all kinds of stuff. Well, so you have a butler and his wife, the butler and she's kind of like the maid, but she's also the doctor's assistant. They have this oil and water. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, they have an oil and water relationship. I mean, they go at it like just constantly, and yet then they love each other totally. You have the doctor who's just really weird. Michael. Why do I want to say Kramer? Michael Richards he wants to be a comedian. And so in this, he's always putting out like fake bananas or real bananas really to do pratfalls and slips and slides. And he'll look around and if nobody saw it or they didn't laugh, he'll do it again. And so he has there's just these ongoing gags where it really is. Gina Davis she's not a large role, but she has a prominent role that utilizes just some of her assets. And they play that up. It's campy. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it is stupid. It's definitely, I mean, this isn't one of those like that it's so bad it's good. Mm. It's just good. It's a little cheesy, and I think it's encompassing also some of the mid 80s.
Right. What is 85? So
you know what I mean?
Proper.
Yeah, exactly. It has some of this. For me, it works because it doesn't take itself seriously, but it takes itself seriously enough. I mean, it's not, and this one sits definitely more in the comedy realm than in the horror. This is not scary, but they play up the whole monsters. They do, so you have a wolf man, you have a vampire. I think you have Dracula, or not Dracula, like a Frankenstein's monster. You have
surely you have a
all
vampire
of the classic
in Transylvania.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's this is definitely one to check out. I think it's even streaming right now for free, like on Amazon Prime or maybe on Netflix.
What's it called again? Because
it
had numbers.
Transylvania 65000.
Okay.
And that's the phone number, I believe, of the hotel. And the phone has this very characteristic ring. It's like da 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 da. And so
amazing.
So every time the phone will ring, and then they answer Transylvania 65000. Okay, anyway, it's dumb, but totally worth checking.
But why does everybody else hate it though, Chris?
I don't know. One of the comments that I saw was just like, this was just the worst movie ever. I'm like, no, come
Give
on.
a proper reason.
This is not the worst movie ever. Yeah, I mean, it's a little overacted, but I think, you have to look at the era that it was in.
Yeah.
Would a movie like this succeed today? I don't think so.
Doubtful.
But I don't think it would have been made the way that it was made. You know, I mean, you look at 1985, it's goofy, it's campy. They're playing on some big stars, some up and coming stars, and just the whole ensemble cast really works well together. And they do have some good comedic timing. I think a lot of the dialogue is cheesy, and even some of the delivery is a little. Yeah, I do too. And in this,
the mood
it
you're
works.
in, and if it works in the film, I have a day of Halloween movies coming up tomorrow. I think this will go on my list because I've never seen it. This is a first time watch. I will message you and go, what were you thinking? Or I'll message you and go, this is great. No, they're all wrong.
Yeah, I think Rotten Tomatoes is wrong, but I can't wait to hear what you say about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put that
all
on
right,
the list.
what's cool? Well, what is on your list of rankings?
I'm not going to do any of my honorable mentions just yet. I think we can do them together. But number 5, I'll read you a synopsis. I'll let you know 2 of the cast members first. Anna Kendrick and Gemma Atherton. Any idea yet? Or should I read the synopsis?
No.
Okay. A likable guy
read the synopsis.
pursues his office crush with the help of his evil talking pets, but things turn sinister when she stands him up for a date.
This is a messed up movie.
I love this movie so much. This is why it's called Voices. It stars Ryan Reynolds, who's lost the plot. His animals talk to him. He got a cat and a dog, and I didn't see. I should have seen the twist coming, but I didn't see it until I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. Anytime people say to me Ryan Reynolds can't actually act, all he does is rom-com or action, I point them to this movie. Because he had some intense, heavy dialogue scenes to carry. He had that comedy, but it's black comedy. And it's like this mixed bag between you really are rooting for him, but he's the bad guy. Like, no two ways about it. There are some nasty people that you sometimes can go, yeah, I understand why he killed that person. But then there are other times you're like, don't kill that person. She's nice. I like her. Or he's nice. I like him. But for me, what works in this film is Ryan Reynolds doing Ryan Reynolds with pets. Like the pets talking back at him. I think it was just genius. So I take it you've seen this.
I have. I just watched it for the first time this year.
Really? Okay.
And yeah, and you're right. The banter between him and his animals, and the cat especially, is just, I think they capture really the personas of cat and dog
I agree.
really well.
It's so clever. When it gets gory, it's seriously gory. And when it gets dark, it's really dark. There's this fictional world to reality world that I just love how they play the balance in that. And I feel like that's the comedy and then the horror, and that balance just meshes. Which is why it's my number 5. I feel like this is a film that people don't know too much about. It's in like the indie section of films. People don't really classify Ryan Reynolds as that guy who does this sort of film. But if you look at his IMDb page, you will see a few really weird, wacky films that he's done that didn't get a lot of light, that I think he chose just because he wanted to. And this was definitely one of those. So I'm hoping that people will put this on their list to kind of see when Ryan gets given more meaty roles, even though they're still appealing to his kind of comedy dryness, then it works. So
it's a messed up.
It is. It's a really messed up.
God. Well, and just like when he opens the fridge,
Man.
when other people open the fridge too. That's it's just
that mix of worlds. What's real? What's not? Brilliant.
Yes. Oh, great choice. That is outstanding.
Okay, so you're number 4.
I think I'm curious if a lot of people have seen this one also. It is a Peter Jackson film.
Oh, wait. Are you going to say the one that's at... Wait, let's see my list. Sorry, I paused you there. My number 3.
No. Well, I'm going to give you an actor then, and you can tell me if it's on your if it's your number 3. Michael J. Fox.
This is my number 3.
Okay.
Let's do your number 4 then.
Well, I'll say the title, and then we will continue on. Okay. And
Cool.
So it is The Frighteners.
Yay!
Oh, I'm so glad you have this on your list.
It was that one. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So we'll skip. We'll go to your number 4, and then we'll tackle it in just a bit.
Oh, we're doing my number 4 first. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So we can do it together.
Yeah.
As always. Okay. So this is another one I think people haven't heard of. It's one of my favorite actors, but the person he plays is well, okay, let me just say this. Elvis Presley and Black JFK. Have you seen this movie?
Oh, I've Oh gosh, the title. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but the title. Pooh, it's in my head, and I don't.
Staying in a nursing home where nothing happens until a wayward Egyptian mummy comes and sucks out the old people's souls through their a-holes. The two decide to fight back. This is Bubba Ho-Tep.
I have not seen it. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to add it to my list just based on that description alone.
Yeah, so we've got our protagonist from The Evil Dead. Obviously, he's in all three. He plays Elvis. And there's an African-American JFK, which is genius. It's very much tongue-in-cheek, very much as you'd expect it to be. Very, very dry comedy. But the practical effects that you see in it are brilliant. I'm trying to remember. I think the JFK character, because it's been a few years since I've seen it, but it always stays up there. Every now and again, it's like, this is the one I want to watch. It's one that I recommend to people who say, I've seen all the best comedy horrors. I was like, have you seen Bubba Ho-Tep? And they go, Bubba what now? And I go, Bubba Ho-Tep. And then they still look at you confused. Brilliant title, brilliant film, because it's so wacky. The practical effects are great. The way they're so not heroes, and you want them to be heroes, and they try to be heroes. They try to be younger than they are, but they're old guys now, having lived. They're in the nursing home for a reason. Our main character is trying to flirt with the nurses, but he's too old to even have no mind. And you can imagine for yourself. Bedpans, stupid robes, in wheelchairs, playing all old age home games. So you have that whole world, and then you add the supernatural element into it, and you take these two wacky characters and try and see if they can survive it and protect the nursing home. It's brilliant. It's really, really fun.
Nice. It sounds ridiculous and yet amazing all at the same time. That's cool. Yeah, I have had it. Like, I've had it in queues before, like, oh, that sounds kind of weird and interesting, and I don't know, okay. And so I just add it, but never has had it, like, pop into my head or pop into my, like, ooh, I've got to sit down now and really watch this. But now I do. now I really want to see it. I have to watch that tomorrow.
So Bruce Campbell, obviously, I kept forgetting his name, but yeah, Bruce Campbell plays Elvis. It had $1 million budget. A great composer, Brian Tyler. I'd love to know how they got Brian Tyler on this low budget. But it was one of those that was meant to span a universe. So they were going to do a whole bunch of other adventures, these two guys. It never really did, because it was so obscure and so out there that it didn't really catch on until it caught, like a lot of these films do, that cult status. But it's not enough then to make it go. And, it might still... But I don't know that, like you could make that movie today.
Yeah, and even I don't think cult status typically is enough unless it becomes mainstream cult status.
Exactly. Yeah.
And which then that can be argued: is that really cult status, or is it just now a mainstream movie?
Yeah.
But right on, Bubba Ho-Tep. Okay. Do you know if it just off the top of your head, do you know if it's on any streaming platform or
I have it here.
Probably available to rent?
I was checking. I think it's probably renting because you don't often see it, but it'll be on all your platforms to rent on. It'll be really cheap. It'll be like £2.50 or $3.50 or 9 million yen.
Depending on your exchange rate. Yes. Oh, funny. Okay, well that one I'm gonna check that one out. That's a good one. Let's see. Okay, so number 3. I'll do my number 3, and then we'll go to your number 3, which is my number 4. And
so confusing.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. Does that make total sense? No. Right? Okay. I sat down actually to rewatch this one just the other day because I was in the mood for it. It is Chris Hemsworth. It is Fran Kranz, who just directed the amazing movie Mass. It is Bradley Whitford, Richard Jenkins, the incredibly comedic, that's the right word, and bloody and gory The Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, nice. Okay, I was umming and ahhing about putting this one on my list. I didn't, but yeah, great choice.
You have. It starts off. I mean, it's even slightly Lovecraftian, just by some of the mention of some of the creatures. But you have this group of college students who go away for a weekend to a remote cabin, and that remote cabin looks almost identical to the one in The Evil Dead.
Yeah, it really does.
It was great. Yeah, I was like, ooh. And so when they get there, they go into a basement where it's just filled with all kinds of stuff, and they read from this book, not the Book of the Dead, but from a diary, and then weird things happen. But what you find out, partially, well, obscurely, I think at the beginning, and then later on as the movie progresses, is that there are people outside watching them. And so it's kind of vague. They're internally in this organization. They're betting on who's going to die or how they're going to die, what's going to happen. It's very dark in that way. And yet you're like, ooh, what is it? There's a lot of laughs to it. And once the carnage begins, it is properly violent. I mean, it is gory. It is, 'cause you have kind of zombie slasher there. Definitely monster. And then once you get more and more on the other side of what's going on, and you get to see through the looking glass almost of these people observing and controlling almost to a degree, it gets even more dark. And the reason for it, and then it gets even more bloody as well. Yeah. I'm trying to stay away from some spoilers, just in case anybody hasn't seen it. But it is a wild ride. It is funny. Fran Kranz, who I mentioned, who wrote and directed Mass, he is a stoner in this, and he is just he's so great because he's dry and he's droll and he's very funny, but he's also, I mean, he's definitely in a traditional story. He is the fool. I mean, he is the one who is pointing out some of the obviousness to everybody that they should be paying attention to, but they dismiss because he is the fool. And
So did you know, I believe that Joss Whedon was originally meant to direct this, and it was in limbo for years before it actually came out. I actually think it was finished like 2 years prior. It just had issues, especially with distribution. So Joss Whedon was one of the two writers, obviously, that wrote the script, and there's very much a Buffy, now that there's a Buffy dialogue heavy, the banter between making you like the characters and then doing horrific things to them, and then the responses from the characters. I think that's what really drives this film, because it's this mixture of almost sci-fi, fantasy, horror, comedy, but like in this Evil Dead cabin. And you think it's one thing, and it is that one thing, but there's a reason there it's one thing. And then I love films that keep you on your toes, because you're watching it, and then there's like, without doing spoilers, it's like that moment when you're watching From Dusk Till Dawn, right? It's a thriller drama. It's scary enough, but then you hit that second half and you're going, what in the... Okay, then cool. It reminded me of that. It's a great choice, because this is a lot of fun. It's not too horrific, and even the horror of it has its comedy moments. I would say that the last 10 minutes probably are the scariest, but you're so invested as to what the hell is going on. You're like, okay, I always wanted more from this. I really wish they'd done more in this world. So I felt like there was more to pull from, especially once you start finding out things. And you're like, ooh, what's that? What's over there? What's in there? If you were like me, you could pause the movie at a certain point in the film and just look around because you want to see.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think, you could have a lot of parallel stories going off that were shown glimpses of even. And to see how it, and then, to have it tie back into this one. I love that idea of a universe of these movies, because you're right there. And there is, I know what scene you're talking about, where, because I have paused it also to be like,
what is that?
Wow, there's so much to take in here. And what
you want to know. Yeah. It's great. Really great choice.
Exactly. All right. We're at your number 3.
Okay. So, The Frighteners. Oh my gosh. I remember seeing this the first time. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I don't think I'd seen a trailer for it. Because it's fairly old now, right? How old is The Frighteners? But
is it late-ish 90s?
I think so. But what sold me was Michael J. Fox. Massive fan. Back to the Future. 1996. Yeah. Was the year I arrived in the UK, I believe. Little young Ruben going to the cinema, going, Michael J. Fox. It looks a little scary. I'm sure it's fine. And then I remember doing this. Like, it's a proper horror in moments. It like back when I was scared, I was going to the cinema myself. New culture in the UK. Didn't really think people were speaking English. Even though they were speaking English because of the gore blimey. And so I would take myself to the cinema. So this was one of my first experiences, and I remember thinking this is hilarious, and then thinking, oh my gosh, because some of the practical effects with the CGI, and it's definitely dated now, but what they were pulling off then, there are moments where there's an entity that pushes through the wall, scared that crap out of me, man. I was like, damn, I'm really scared. Like, also, I love it. Like, just, it's brilliant. It's so entertaining.
It is. Well, and it was, I did struggle a little bit of putting this one on because it definitely, I mean, the comedy is there, but it's not forthright. You know, it's in smaller moments and just these Michael J. Well, even, I mean, good grief, you have John Aston. Oh gosh,
even the
Jake Busey,
the killer themselves. Yeah, Jake Busey, he's brilliant in this.
Jake Busey. Yeah, I mean, he's dark,
he's creepy,
and just like, and then the FBI agent, who is all kinds of unhinged, and just totally works within this. Yeah, this one, I mean, it's definitely a dark. You have a dark storyline of Michael J. Fox who can see dead people, you know, and then all of the ghosts around him and what he does to try and help people. But is he a fraud, or can he actually see? And why can he see ghosts? And that is, I think that in and of itself is fairly a dark premise. And this one, it has been a couple of years since I seen it. I did rewatch it. I don't know, probably maybe 3 years ago, and still had a blast with it because before that it had been a while. And I remember, I don't think I actually saw this in the theater. I think I was strolling through Blockbuster one day, and we were like, oh, this sounds kind of good. Let's look at this one. And just the zaniness of it and the darkness, and then the pure tension that is created by the chase and the urgency that comes once you realize, and once Michael J. Fox realizes what's going on, and his goal then at fixing or finalizing and saving. It's
I mean, once you start seeing the numbers and the foreheads, I was just, it gets creepier and creepier, and like once the story reveals itself, you think you're gonna be okay, and you're like, oh no, but it gets darker. It is a very dark comedy, horror, fantasy. Michael J. Fox is great in it. Did you know that he repeatedly blew his lines because there's this character, the judge, that he kept calling Doc. Doc. Great Scott.
Oh, that's funny. Damn.
Which I find hilarious.
That's funny.
The ratings for this film were up in the air, but in America they were pushing for the PG-13, but it got an R rating because the head exploded. In the UK, this was a 15, but they did cut things out. If you want to watch the proper version, there's a director's cut that has everything in it, that has an extra 14 minutes in the film. So if you're listening and you want to watch the whole whack, all the scariness, the heads exploding, director's cut is what you're looking for.
That I don't think I've seen the director's cut. That's outstanding. I'm curious at how much different it is from the U.S. version.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I saw the version in the cinema. I think that was the version, but it's definitely one I want to know. Sometimes you just want to know what other content they put in there, right?
Yeah. Well, in this one, I even if some of it does feel a little dated with some of the effects or anything like that, I mean, it's still, the story is so good and the acting is so well done that, you know, I'm able to overlook some of that to be sucked back into this world. And then there's also just that tiny bit of nostalgia because I've enjoyed it so much in the past.
Yeah.
To now, you know,
exactly.
So it makes a rewatch very easy.
Yeah.
Nice.
This film actually reminds me a lot of, I mentioned recently, one of my favorite PG-13 horrors was Odd Thomas. It has a very similar vibe. So.
Okay. Cool. I still have Odd Thomas on my list to check out. So I'm excited about that because Anton Yelchin is amazing.
He's great.
Was amazing.
Okay, so where does that leave us?
That was your number 3.
That was my number 3.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 2 then. Right. All right. Now this one, this was actually a struggle at my number 2 because it could have been my number 1. Because I watch both of these a lot.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say then.
So my number 2, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Wait, this is my number 1.
Is it really?
It really is.
Okay. Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
No. Okay, so that's perfect. Oh, okay. So let's do your number 2 then.
Okay. We're doing my
and then we'll
That's amazing.
So good.
Okay. Seriously, we didn't plan this. We haven't spoken to each other about our list. Mental.
We're always just as surprised as the other.
Yeah. Okay, so this is quintessential British film.
This is going to be my number 1 then, I'm sure.
Is it?
Go for
really?
it.
Amazing. A teen gang in South London defend their block from an alien invasion.
No, it's not, but oh my gosh, what a great choice.
Good. Okay. Jodie Whittaker, who is our Doctor Who at the moment, and John Boyega, who obviously, you know, it's Attack the Block, which is my number 2.
Yes.
This is such a fun film. Like, mashing these worlds, these young hooligans who, I mean, to be fair, have a persona of being quite scary. If you walked up to a young group of teens in London, in certain areas, you would cross the road, you would pretend you're on the phone, you would get on a bus. It's like, yeah, scary. But the story takes these guys and makes them the hero, protecting their block from these aliens that are such a cool design. My gosh, when the shadow is on them, they're just like darker than black, like blacker than black. And then you meet other characters along the way, like Shaun of the Dead characters, right? Either in this world, and it just feels right. It's like the dialogue is so quirky, so punchy, so funny. Exactly how do you expect people to react in this situation? And also because it's like a PG-13, you can watch it with everybody. It's gory, but it's gory in the right way. It doesn't push the bounds too much, but it's also still scary because you have those in the block, mostly those corner shots in the buildings around the corner. You know, it really builds that tension well. And at the same time, you go, oh, in it, blood, and they're trying to act all big and strong, but they're really not. And like these big aliens are about to munch on you, and you do get some munchings and crunchings. So you've seen it then?
Oh my gosh, I love this movie. Love it. It is, oh, what a great choice. Well, and then you think about, you know, the kids that are all, you know, they're all playing harder than they are putting on their persona. And then you have those two really young ones who just, oh my gosh, no, the creature design, you're right. The production value of this is through the roof. I mean, it looks phenomenal, and it is, there are really tense scenes because it's you know, when a lot of it happens, they're taking place in this apartment building, and so you have long corridors and just, you know, things that are they can move much more fast than humans can. And so to watch the tension rise, the banter between Jodie Whittaker and the other cast is, I mean, and how that relationship morphs.
Yeah, it does
also,
grow, doesn't it? It's at the beginning you feel scared for her, and then it grows into you want her to be with them, which is a great like just juxtaposition there, and I thought that was fantastic. I was going to say it was written and directed by Joe Cornish, who also wrote the screenplay for Ant-Man, which is a little nugget there for you.
Yeah, well, and he the reason I found out about it is because Edgar Wright had been talking about it, because he's like I don't know if Edgar Wright had any producing role or anything like that, but he's friends with Joe Cornish.
Yeah, because Edgar Wright was going to direct an Ant-Man movie, and so before they left. But yeah, so it's a really nice kind of segue.
Oh, so good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that one, and I think it's back on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is it?
So if you haven't seen it, it was on there for quite a while, and then it left, and then it, I think it just recently came back. So that, at least in the U.S., Amazon, I don't know if Amazon Prime is different across the world.
Sometimes, but most of the time you get most of the content. So hopefully it's on there. Yeah.
Okay. You certainly one to check out. What a great choice. That is so much fun.
So what's your number 2 then?
Okay. My number 2 was Tucker and Dale.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and before we move on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that there are rumors of an Attack the Block 2.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. That's exciting.
Yes.
I didn't know that it had translated well to like the States, or whether people had even heard of it.
I'm not sure it has. I mean, I lean more towards the British stuff than the American stuff most of the time. And even outside of Britain, just non-English or non-American, I lean a lot more towards that than I do here. And so this one, I mean, this was right up my alley, and I love British humor. Okay. And so
this was perfect for you. Great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally great. Okay, before I get to my number 1, I've got some honorable mentions here, and I'm going to limit it to however many I have right here. I'm not going to continue on with them because I could do so many. And it was, anyway. I mentioned it, I think a couple weeks ago, but my wife and I just rewatched it the other day. It's M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. And this is two kids go and visit their grandparents. It is, he actually filmed, like he would do takes in a couple of different ways, like one that was straight comedy, one that was straight horror, and then one that was kind of in the middle. And it's dark, it is creepy, and it is still really funny too. The brother, who's the youngest of them, he's this little white kid who decides that he wants to be a rapper, and so he's terrible at rapping, but it's so funny at what he raps. But then at one point he decides that he is no longer going to curse, but instead of a curse word, he's going to say a female pop singer's name. And so there's this one point where he sees all this stuff, and he it's just horrifying to him, and he runs out and he trips, and he's like, Sarah McLachlan.
That is funny. Nice.
Totally fits. Let's see. Cooties. Have you seen Cooties?
I've seen Cooties, yeah.
Rainn Wilson. Okay, yeah. That's a fun one. Zombie film with kids. Elijah Wood,
yeah.
In that teacher, also,
right?
Yeah. Just it's very dark, very funny. Happy Death Day.
Yes, great.
This is one.
Not so much the sequel, but definitely the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one was I blown away with. Had a lot of fun. Ready or Not.
Fantastic. I almost had this in my top 5 list.
This was almost on. Yeah, mine too. It was close.
Again with the ending.
Oh my gosh. So good. Yeah. Werewolves Within.
Yeah, again, another one.
Recent film.
Almost had this in my list. It was a really tough week. It's so much good content.
Absolutely. I decided to go, like, how can I not put this one in? Ghostbusters. Yep. The original.
If you're doing
the original,
comedy,
not
horror, you got to talk about Ghostbusters at least.
Exactly. And then, thanks to you, I didn't realize this, and I have not seen the entire movie yet because it was so horrifying that I had to turn it off.
Wait, are you going to say cats?
I am.
Oh, no. Did you start watching it?
I started watching it. It's on HBO Max right now. How did this movie get made?
Seriously.
This is Tom Hopper, the director who brought us Les Miserables.
Right.
And I loved that version. I mean, just the music, the performances, everything. This, first off, I don't, I'm like
you're breaking up.
I couldn't. Yeah. It is a pure horror. Yeah. And I didn't get past I turned it off when, I keep wanting to call Rebel Wilson. I keep wanting to call her Amy, but that's her character from Pitch Perfect. Yeah. But when she's dancing around with the cockroaches and the CGI or the green screen effect, whatever they did, is so atrocious and so low budget. And then I have no idea what's going on.
No.
They're just singing, and yet none of the songs are connecting with me at all.
No.
I don't know where the story is going and why I'm watching. And I'm like, well, I don't know, what, 17 minutes in?
It's because they're jellicle cats, Chris. Don't you get it?
What is a jellicle? I don't understand.
Jellicle cats. That's all you need to know.
Okay. Apparently because they made a very big deal of it in the opening number.
So not even Idris could make this worth it for you.
No. And then he sang, and that was I love the man, but no, the whole thing. I mean, at some point I might go back and I might reattempt to
next Halloween
watch more of it. Yeah, but this is bad. I mean, no joke. Yeah, I didn't get through the full number with Rebel Wilson and the rest of them. And really, the opening song. I'm spending way too much time on cats, but the opening song. This is your first out of the gate. Your time to hook somebody, right? And it doesn't. There's nothing moving about the song. It's almost like off key, and I don't know if that's how the song is written, whatever. But pure and utter poo. That's
it's caca.
Okay. It is. Okay, I've gotten that off my chest, and I blame you because you were the one that's like, "Ooh, hey, it's on HBO Max."
Yeah, well,
I'm so glad I didn't see this in the theater.
Putting this in your honorable mentions.
Only because it's a horror.
Right.
And
fair enough.
No, this is a dishonorable mention more than any. Okay, so my number one, it is. Oh,
I'm going to do my honorable mentions with.
Oh, yes, please do. Please do. Sorry.
I can't talk about comedy horrors without mentioning the Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead in there, and those three guys. Okay.
No, it's good. Go. Yes, the Cornetto trilogy is brilliant.
Yes, it's amazing. If you don't know what it is, look it up. You'll know. Hot Fuzz, great. World's End, Shaun of the Dead. Gremlins, I didn't have it in yet because it's more of a Christmas movie for me, but it does have that comedy horror, especially the first one, which is a 15 year. And my go-to zombie movies at the moment is Zombieland because it's just so fun. I love to play the zombie kill of the day, and it's a conversation in our household, like what would be your best zombie kill of the day, which I think is just hilarious and fun. All right, Chris, number one.
Number one, okay. So it is Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, sorry.
And it is no, you didn't steal any thunder. This is great. It is a rom-com zom. So it is a romantic comedy with zombies. It is Edgar Wright teaming with Nicholas Angel. That's a character. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Oh my goodness. See, anyway, this is the beginning. This is the first in the Cornetto trilogy, and it is a romantic comedy. And it does have zombies talking is weird. But it is also a brilliant social commentary. Like if you look at the imagery and you look at just the characters before the zombie apocalypse and after, and how they mirror and how they're the same people, and just the interactions, and how you have Shaun, who is this guy in just an Arrested Development type of stage, he's just stuck and he's not moving forward. He's just literally day to day living his life with no real dreams or plans, or if he does have dreams or plans, he doesn't pursue them. His best friend, played by Nick Frost, who is truly the Arrested Development, who, you know, his whole goal in life is to sit there, smoke weed and play video games and do nothing else. If you've ever watched Spaced, which is an Edgar Wright series, 2 seasons, so many of those characters, well, first off, so many of those characters that are in that TV show make it through the Cornetto trilogy at some point. But then this, it's gory. There are tense scenes, and it has ruined Can't Stop Me Now by Queen, because there is a moment that I can't, it's timed, and they're all hitting a zombie, and it can't stop me now, and just every time on beat. And so now anytime I hear that song, I have to do this hitting, and it is just, I laugh all the time. It's one of those that I still pick up, you know, things like, oh, I don't remember seeing that in there, or, oh, that just, triggers memories. It's a great one. It's definitely worth watching at least once or all the time, because it is truly funny. And in there, they eat cornettos. Also,
they do eat cornettos. Yeah, cornetto. Are you going to shop? Give me a cornetto. One of my favorite moments is they have a zombie in the garden. It's like the first time they're really realizing that zombies are real, and they're flinging stuff at her, and they're going through like the vinyl section, and it's like, no, not that one. And you get to the Batman and Robin, it's like, chuck it. I always laugh really hard at that. All the times that they've encountered zombies, they don't know that they've encountered zombies until it like all breaks loose. Is brilliant. It's the yeah, so good. It kind of lost me towards the end. Like, I love the whole film, but because it was comedy horror, but then it gets really serious for the last half an hour, and family members are starting to die, and you're like, no, what is this, Edgar Wright? Why are you doing this? Comedy horror, just depressing. And like, bloody hell, they got dark there. You got serious at the end of this one. So I always kind of want to watch up to that pub point where people are pulled through the windows, and like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll switch something else on there.
Bouncing from there. Yeah, no, it does get properly dark there, because it takes that twist where it has been a little scary or a little dark, and then it goes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. One of my favorite actors, British actors, is in it. I think he plays the dad. I can't remember his name at the moment.
Oh, Bill Nye.
Yeah, Bill Nye. I thought it was great, but that scene with Bill Nye in the pub, I'm just, no, man.
Yeah.
But that just shows how much they've built the characters, some of which you haven't even seen that much of, that you like them, you're invested enough, so when you are going to start killing them off, you're like, no, I don't want you to. Yeah. Really great number one. I can see why you have it in your number one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, please see Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah. Sort that out now.
All right. Let's. What?
Yeah. So sort that out now. Oh. Put it on your list.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So we're going to talk about my number one, which is your number two, which is Dale and Tucker. Tucker and Dale versus
Tucker and
Evil.
Dale.
Dale and Tucker, whichever way you want to call them. Tucker and Dale versus Evil was a film I wasn't expecting. It kind of came out of nowhere. I really didn't know what I was watching. I knew I was watching a horror, and I didn't read the synopsis. And I read this and I thought, oh, what the hell is happening? Because where you see Tucker and Dale being the hillbillies, you think you know where the film's going. And so for those that haven't watched it, I'm not going to spoil it, because I think that's the best part of the movie. But I love the twisting of the genre, and I love the fact that it is so funny. Tyler LeBain and Alan Tudyk as these hillbillies, they are just the nicest hillbillies you've ever met. I want to befriend them. They anytime anybody does anything mean to them or says anything nasty to them, I'm like, no, how dare you? These are nice guys. Why do you love this film?
I love because it just upended my expectations. Like from the title, I avoided it for a long time because I was like, oh, this is just going to be stupid. I don't, and then one point we put it in and it was like, whoa, the characters, you're right. First off, Tucker and Dale are beautiful people.
Yeah.
Like I love them. And then their reactions to the things that are going on around them.
It's hilarious.
So good.
The
I mean, just
on their faces.
Oh my goodness. And then, I mean, I love how it does twist what we think is going on, and it plays with that. And it is, I mean, there are gory moments to it. I don't know if I was ever really scared. It's more of there's definite tension there, but the comedy is so good. I mean, they're timing together first off, and then with the people they come in contact with, too. And there's this one is quotable also. Like we quote a bunch of different things from this, and there was even, I don't know, there was a scene in Halloween Kills that involved a person with a gun, and when it happened on there, it almost there was a portion that reminded me so closely of what happens in this movie. It just
when it came to doing this list, this was one thing that wasn't difficult for me. I immediately went, oh well, this is my number one. So it's just that much fun. The kills are great. They are gory, unexpected some of the time. And that's what I loved about it. So you have this weird juxtaposition of the comedy, the kills being just out there, the reason for it happening, and the group that these guys, Dale and Tucker, encounter. And then where it goes towards the ending. You're like, oh, that is nice. You're taking a genre that's been done to death in literally hundreds of these types of films and then done something new with it, which I think is why it's like, my number one.
Yeah, this one, I knew this had to be on my list. And you're right, this was one of them. And the only tough thing I had was if it was going to be number one or if Shaun was going to be number one. That was the hardest part for me, because it is, and no joke, this is one that I watch year round. I watched this, there was one, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, that I watched it, I think once a month. Yeah. Because it was just, it never got old to me. I had a blast with it. The characters, the lines that they do, just and combined with their facial reactions and just their whole reactions to the scene going on around them and what they're experiencing is very real and very even in an outlandish situation. And so
definitely. Yeah. Well, so we got there in the end in our top five. Do let us know in the comments, were any of our top five in your top five? And which do you think should have been in our top five?
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear what other people, I mean, because obviously, I mean, we have a tough, the list could be monstrously long. And so I'm hoping that maybe we'll get some suggestions that I haven't even considered, or that have been so long since I've seen them, and it's like, ooh, I need to check this out again.
Guarantee there's been some that we've forgotten about because the list is so massive.
Absolutely. So, hey, please do, comment below. Tell us your recommendations. What's on your list? What is your number one? What's your number five? What's everything in between there?
Yeah.
And wow us so that we can add these to our list and check them out And maybe they will be on our discussion of the best thing we watched this week.
Yeah.
You never can tell.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. If you want to hear the extended audio portion, head over to the podcast on any of the listening platforms. But other than that, please, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of that we tell you to do on YouTube. That is Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
I need to try and pull this glass out of my head. It hurts.